So, when we look back at 2025, what story are we going to remember? The one put together by journalists in a newsroom, or the one that was, well, edited by an algorithm in our social media feeds? In this explainer, I'm going to show you how, for so many of us, our shared sense of reality wasn't really shaped by a person, but by a process. And this really gets to the heart of it. The digital feed, that endless scroll, has pretty much become our new front page. It's the main way millions of us saw the world this year. But here's the thing. Unlike a newspaper, this front page is totally different for every single one of us. And its editor, well, it isn't human. And it has a very, very specific goal. And right out of the gate, you can see the disconnect. I mean, just look at this. To be perfectly clear, the political commentator Charlie Kirk was not assassinated in 2025. But according to Google's own data, a massive surge in searches about that completely false rumor made it the #1 trending news topic of the entire year. And this isn't just some weird glitch. It's a symptom of the world the feed builds around us. Okay, so to really get to the bottom of this, I went straight to the data. What was it that truly grabbed our collective attention online? What was actually on this new front page? Well, according to YouTube's 2025 Trends Report, these are the kinds of things that just completely dominated. It wasn't just about watching Squid Game, right? It was about creators building this entire universe of skits and challenges around it. And then you have this totally fictional K-pop group, the Demon Hunters, that was treated as real by this huge fan base, making their own lore and music videos. And some of the biggest games of the year? They weren't from big studios. They were worlds built by users inside Roblox, with names like Grow a Garden and, you heard that right, Steal a Brain Rot. Now, it's super important to be clear about what this data is. These are really powerful signals of where our attention went, what we clicked on, what we shared, what made us curious. But it is not a complete summary of what actually happened in the world. This is the reality of our attention. Okay, so that's one reality. Now let's flip the coin and look at the reality that was documented by more traditional news organizations. What did their front pages look like in 2025? The Associated Press's year in review paints a totally different picture. I mean, it's stark. The defining stories here were ongoing global conflicts, from the war in Ukraine to the destruction in Gaza. They were about the devastating impact of extreme weather events happening all over the globe. And they covered massive political shifts, like Donald Trump's international summits and the election of a new pope. This is the reality of events. And when you put them side by side, wow, it's the central conflict right there. On one side, you have the event reality from the newsrooms. On the other, the attention reality from our feeds. And there is almost zero overlap. It's like two completely parallel versions of 2025 are happening at the same time. The big question is, why? The answer, it turns out, lies with the editor. But the feed's editor isn't a person thinking about what's newsworthy or what's in the public interest. No, it's an algorithm, and it has one primary goal. So here's how it all works, step by step. It all starts with the platform's goal, which is really simple. Keep you on the platform for as long as possible. Maximize that engagement. And the way it does that is by ranking everything based on popularity signals, clicks, likes, shares. Now here's the catch. Research shows us that extreme or really emotionally charged content tends to get the most engagement. This creates a feedback loop. The algorithm pushes that content out, it gets even more engagement, which then tells the algorithm to push it out even more. The final outcome, as one research paper puts it, is the very real risk of crowding out the truth. Let's break that down a bit. The first piece of the puzzle is the engagement feedback loop. Just think of it like a snowball rolling downhill. A piece of content gets a few early likes. The algorithm sees that and shows it to a few more people. They like it too, so the algorithm shows it to an even bigger group, and on it goes. Popularity just compounds on itself, and it often has nothing to do with whether the content is actually high quality or accurate. The second mechanism is what researchers call popularity bias. What this means is the whole system is basically set up to favor whatever's already popular. This makes it incredibly difficult for new or nuanced or maybe more moderate content to ever break through the noise. See, the algorithm isn't designed to find the most accurate information. It's designed to find the most engaging information. And it just kind of assumes that what's already popular is what you're going to find engaging. And really, this is the main takeaway, and it's summed up perfectly in this quote from a 2023 research paper. These weird outcomes we see, they aren't an accident. They are a direct consequence of engagement optimization. The system is working exactly the way it was designed to. That huge disconnect between the two front pages, it isn't a bug. It's a feature of a system that's built to maximize engagement above everything else. So all of this leads to a really critical question. When our entire information world is being edited like this, what on earth happens to our trust? Okay, so what's the actual damage to public trust? Now, I want to be really clear here. I can't draw a direct line and say the algorithm did X. I just don't have that data. But reports from places like the Reuters Institute and the UK Parliament in 2025, they give us a pretty clear picture of the environment this system creates. They found that a huge chunk of the public is actively avoiding the news because they're just tired of the negativity and the constant arguments. And at the same time, concern over misinformation is still really high. So when the algorithm keeps pushing polarizing or just distracting content over factual stuff, it creates this environment where trust in pretty much everything can just start to wear away. So it sounds a little bleak, right? If the algorithm is the default editor, what can we even do? Well, the good news is we can take back some of that control. There are clear things we can do both as individuals and at a much bigger systemic level. For us, as individuals, there are 3 things you can do right now. First, practice what I call feed hygiene. You've got to clean up your feed. Every time you mute or block or hit that see less of this button, you're training your algorithm. You're basically being your own editor. Second, be deliberate. Don't just sit back and accept what the feed gives you. Go directly to the news sources and the creators you actually trust. And third, think about doing a periodic reset. Clear out your watch and search history to pop any filter bubbles you might be in. Okay, but what about the bigger picture, beyond just what we can do? Well, researchers are calling for independent audits, basically letting them look under the hood with real data to study these impacts. And there's this really fascinating idea from the Barcelona School of Economics called an engagement tax. The idea is to create a small cost for platforms when they go overboard, amplifying viral, polarizing content. It's not a tax on us, the users, but on the platform itself. It's a way to change their financial incentives away from just pure engagement and towards something a little healthier. So, as we try to make sense of 2025, where does all this leave us? Well, it leaves us with a choice.
Let's boil it all down. 3 things to remember. 1. In 2025, the feed really did become our front page. 2. Its editor is an algorithm that's optimizing for engagement, not for truth. And 3, and this is the most important part, we still have the power to choose what we consume and what we decide to amplify.
So I'll leave you with this question to think about. When you look back at the stories that shaped your view of the world this year, who was really sitting in the editor's chair? Did the algorithm edit your 2025, or did you edit it? Let me know what you think in the comments.